moment, shades of 2014, always sting TCU when they got left out of the playoff. But what they would like to do is leave no doubt by taking care of Kansas State and spare the Hypnotoads some anxious moments on Saturday night.
This is the goal that we've had from day one. You know, Big 12 championship was our #1 goal.
Winning the conference championships, I think, where it all began.
There's a lot of doubters, and they still call us an underdog. People don't look at us as these top schools that usually are in these big games.
We took what we thought of our team and ran with it. We didn't really worry about the outside opinions.
It's a long journey to get here, but it means everything to the program and especially those kids in that locker room.
That's why players play football, is to win championships. Here we are. Here's our opportunity to do it.
Kirk is calling the game. No pick from him. You're not, you pick.
I tell you what, been very impressed with TCU. They found different ways to win games. They'll find a way today, too. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I'm going with TCU.
Okay, and I enjoy this Kansas State team. Honestly, Will Howard coming in and balling is fantastic. Deuce Vaughn is electrifying. He's everything that is good with college football. Undersized, counted out. All he does is work and kick ass.
But
now,
yes.
Sonny Dykes, as soon as he gets the job at TCU, he hires Coach Kaz Kazadi. They'll be the strength and conditioning coach. They set a tone. No accountability left behind. They also bring in a guy named Jeff Jordan to be a football guru who's been coaching in high school football for 29 years. Sonny Dykes has great players and great people at all the powerful positions. TCU goes undefeated into the college football playoff because of how damn good they are. LaDainian Tomlinson.
I love it. And Des, all week I heard you talk about how it's difficult to beat a team twice. And I disagree with that because once you've seen their best, and remember, we were prepared for Adrian Martinez the first game. Will Howard came in and lit us up in the first half.
Right.
Second half, they shut them out.
Yeah.
I think we know what to prepare for now. I think you see a better TCU team, and it doesn't have to be close, people. TCU rolls.
Wow.
Nice.
Surprise.
You want to pick? No, I'm not picking. I'm about to call the game. This year, TCU is a team of destiny.
Yeah.
Here we go.
They are undefeated and ranked third in the nation.
Here we go.
They've won every close game.
Yep.
And earlier this year, they beat Kansas State.
Yes, they did.
Poor old Kansas State.
No chance, Kansas State.
Doesn't have a chance.
They'll tell you know what's coming.
Yeah,
Not so fast, my friend. Give me Willie.
Wow. In your face.
Turnover, look at LT. Turnover, look at LT.
Stadium won't even look at him.
All right, welcome into KSO Classic. Mason Voth, Drew Galloway here as always, and we are joined for the second time in KSO Classic history by somebody that actually played in the game that we are going to discuss. He played a rather large role in this game for K-State as we take a look at the 2022 Big 12 championship between number 10 K-State and number 3 TCU. Ty Zentner is joining us for this one, and we appreciate him taking time out of his day to do so. We get to open it with not great, just generic open for the broadcast. So we got the college game day picks. Everybody obviously loves Lee Corso, the last time he ever put on Willie's head there. We'll start with Drew here because obviously we're in a much different situation covering the team when we're going through this. What do you remember from that time and the build up to that game?
I remember the build up and going and kind of like having this full circle moment of like I was at the 03 game in Kansas City with my parents. I was at the 2012 game against Texas, and it's kind of like getting to experience that as an adult was pretty cool. And like I'm not one for nerves now that like we're like covering the game, but I remember being like, this is like the most nerve-wracking experience of my entire life during the game. And then a little fun fact for you. I was tipped off beforehand and had sources that said that Lee Corso was going to pick K-State. So I was glad that I was correct because we were all watching it. I was like, I heard like yesterday that the Willie head was requested. So it was nice to be right on that front too.
All right. So Drew was incredibly nervous before the game. What's that like for you, Ty, that was actually going to play in it and dictate the outcome of the game?
Yeah, no nerves, but it was so cool just pulling up to Cowboy Stadium that morning, with I think it was an 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock kickoff. So you're getting to the stadium really early. And so you see all just like the pageantry of outside the stadium, and College game day is going to be there. So just like going into Cowboy Stadium early that morning, like there was just a different buzz that you don't get to experience on a home or away game. And also it was pretty cool being in there with, both teams wearing purple. So just the entire place was decked out in purple. So it was just a awesome atmosphere to begin the day. When you're on the field, you don't really notice the game day setup. I couldn't even tell where they were set up at, but pretty cool that LT was in the building.
So one of the other things that kind of goes into this, I think it was 11 a.m. was the start time. It was definitely the first game of the day. We know that 2022, this was kind of the start of Coach Kleiman's love for 11 o'clock kickoffs after the loss to Tulane that you guys suffered. Did game time impact you guys as players at all? More specifically, I guess when you're on the road and it may not be as what you're accustomed to going through a Manhattan game weekend. But did you have a preference on that, or does that the lighting impact your kicking at all?
No, I would say the game time never really had an impact on kicking unless like you knew it was going to be a windy afternoon or a windy morning and it was going to be different in the other side of things. But I would say just the routine part of it would always it was kind of tough to manage. I remember playing 2021, we played an 11 o'clock kick in Lubbock. And for some reason, it just felt like we got up really early that morning. They're trying to feed you breakfast, like a big meal before we head out of the hotel for the game. And you're just trying to get enough fuel in your body, but it's so hard to do when it's that early in the morning. So that was always my biggest challenge with those early games, just getting fueled up, getting the body woken up before you actually hit the bus and get in there. Because by the time you get to the stadium, there's not a ton of time. You're getting your stuff on and you're starting to do your routine and your warm up and all that. So that was always my biggest challenge, just getting the body fueled and ready to go.
Well, a few of the other things we like to do before we start looking back at the game, obviously the stakes are pretty apparent for this one. A Big 12 championship was on the line for K-State here. For TCU, it seemed like maybe they would get bumped out, but I think most people assumed that they would be in the playoff, win or lose. And the same for K-State. You guys were headed to the Sugar Bowl pretty much guaranteed win or lose in this game because TCU would get a spot into the playoffs, so someone had to take the Big 12 spot. But I think going to the Sugar Bowl as a 9-4 team would feel a lot different than 10-3 and a Big 12 championship with you. So it was nice, obviously, that the win was able to come with it. The other thing we're big on the aesthetic of college football. So we like to rate the uniform matchup before we get going. I gave it a 9.1. I mean, the purple looks good. I think both teams are wearing really good uniforms under these lights inside AT&T Stadium. It pops really nicely. We asked Curry what his favorite uniform was that he wore at K-State. He only got to wear 2 of them. There was no variety ever in what he wore. You had a little bit of extra to it. So what is the favorite jersey and uniform look that you were able to wear at K-State?
I always loved the traditional home uniforms, purple jersey, silver pants, silver helmet. And I think that got to think about it. 2019 against Baylor, we wore white helmets, lost that game. Tulane obviously lost that game, but those jerseys were pretty sick. Like I loved that helmet. I still have it. I loved the pants and just like the way it looked. So tough that we lost those games, but I did really like wearing those jerseys. But I'd always got to go with the home kit.
Very soccer of you. Very kicker of you to say kit there.
Yeah.
Drew, what's your uniform grade here?
I went a little bit lower than you, but still in the same ballpark. Like I went 8.6. I like this look for TCU. I also like. There is part of me though that gives us a lower score than you because in the matchup of two purple teams, neither one of them really going full purple. Like TCU, you're the home team. You gotta lean into it a little bit.
That's fair. I will say this though, and you know this, Drew. I very much love the white silver, or the silver white silver look for K-State, especially if you get good lighting. I think it is the best look. So I very much enjoyed that. That's what K-State wore in the Big 12 championship. Both Big 12 title game wins. That's what K-State has worn, and then what they wore in the Sugar Bowl as well. All right, let's get into taking a look at this game. It's going to get underway. Ultimately, there's not a lot that happens on the first couple of drives here. K-State is able to get one first down to start the game.
Our guest does punt the ball.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what, Drew? Guess what, Drew? I know the audience here, so I very much am aware of that. And this was the first highlight that we had from this game because it became a pretty common theme for what took place in this.
TCU back with a good punt here. Typically a pretty fast-starting offense. They've scored touchdowns on 8 of their opening possessions this year. Ty Zentner's busy, handles the punting, the field goals, and the kickoffs. Tay Barber drips back and makes a catch at his 2-yard line and is able to work his way back to the 8. A risky move. Lost track of where he was on the field. So Max Duggan and the Horned Frogs backed up for their first possession here in Arlington.
I believe that was the first of 3 punts that you pinned inside at least the 15-yard line in this game. You got a little bit of help there from Tay Barber. Were you trying to sell a roughing call there as well, or did you even realize that happened?
I think just over time, so our special teams coach at the time, Coach Burnham, he would just always tell me, any contact, just go down. And so I was never big on like a flail, like total flop. But I would just kind of let my body go limp. So anytime I felt any contact, whether it was our shield or the other team, I would just naturally kind of fall backwards, and that'd kind of help protect myself in a way. But yeah, shout out to Tay Barber for catching that because could have easily been a touchback.
So that's how it starts for K-State on offense. Second play of the game for TCU, Quentin Johnson goes for 50 yards. It was a mixed bag for Julius Brents in this game. He had some big moments, and he needed them to make up for what Quentin Johnson did to him throughout the day. TCU is able to convert on a 4th down, and eventually they get down. They score the first touchdown of the game, so they go up 7-0. And you get a little bit worried, I guess, when the first drive of the game results in a touchdown for the opponent. That, speaking from a fan point of view, I am sure that doesn't really impact you guys too much. You go, okay, we just got to get to work. Like, we knew we had to score at some point.
Yeah.
You also get worried as a fan because, like, from watching this back again, I forgot that TCU caught literally everything on the first drive. Like, Jared Wiley is diving on the ground and making catches. Quentin Johnson is making that catch on the bomb. That was a dime by Max Duggan. Like, that's where you think, oh, it might be one of those.
Yeah, wild start. Then Echo Boydo, he messes up his arm trying to break up a 3rd down pass from TCU after the failed K-State drive. TCU misses a field goal. They just got done talking about right before Griffin Kell kicked it. Oh, he's been a Horned Frog all his life. His mom and dad went there. He loves this moment. He misses it. That's tough. And then K-State finally gets things going. This is something that will settle people in, and I think it's one of the better routes we've seen a receiver run in recent memory for K-State, and it's Malik Knowles connecting with Will Howard.
A little wider is run that jet sweep.
Howard launches downfield to Knowles, who catches it in stride, and suddenly the Cats are threatening at the 15. He beat Josh Newton.
He did, and he had man-to-man. Safeties up tight. Watch his safeties come up tight. We talked about that on the other side of the ball. But with safeties up tight, you know you've got a one-on-one chance, and you love to see the confidence that Klein has and going back to the hands of Will Howard and these receivers, and you get downfield one-on-one, Malik Knowles will make you pay for it.
So K-State has the ball. They get inside the red zone at that point. Eventually a 4th down is going to come up. Very famous how this ends up playing out. Was it a false start? The refs didn't call it. So, when I umpired baseball, I would say that every call I made was the right one because I'm the umpire. I'm just going to give the refs credit here and say that they're the refs. They make the rules, and they said that this was clean, and K-State's able to tie the game thanks to Ben Sinnott.
Howard under center. Vaughn lined up 6 yards deep. Gonna throw for it, flip it in the flat, catch made. Sinnott leads, touchdown. They snuck the tight end down. What a response by this Wildcat offense.
No doubt about it. Number one, you love the call and the decision to go for this. And I love the call from Colin Klein. Bringing Sinnott from the right side where he is the play fake all the way to the left side. So often in the NFL and college, that receiver gets lost.
Sinnott, a tough blocker. Not a very big dude. They don't feature the tight end a whole lot, but down near the goal line, a 4th down touchdown, and we're dead even with 15 seconds left in the quarter.
So you have the big tight end out into the corner. Here's kind of your H-back tight end, Sinnott, who's just off the play fake, often gets kind of lost. You see the defensive edge to that.
So maybe a little bit of early movement there from Ben Sinnott, but recovered nicely, not to give too much away. He gets in and ties it up. And so K-State sits 7-7. The quarter will come to an end pretty soon after this. They come back to start the second quarter, and Holly Rowe is telling a story about how Colin Klein would design playbooks and build them in video games, which is fascinating. That is something we could have talked to him about, Drew, at Media Day. So we'll tuck that away for next year. K-State gets the ball back, another punt inside the 10-yard line from Ty, and it's going to lead to a pretty quick drive for K-State with a lot of action that is impactful and fun to look back on. So this is going to include 3 plays right here. Malik Knowles is a big part of it. Deuce Vaughn has a catch, and then Will's going to find the end zone. So anything at this point in the game that sticks out to you or that you can remember from this time?
Definitely a false start on Ben. No, nothing. I mean, I think that catch by Malik, we didn't really see him again after that. Kind of banged up his knee. Did he come back in, or am I wrong?
The very next play we'll see is the last one that he has. He gets hurt on the jet sweep that he takes for like 35 yards or something.
That's right. Okay.
And so that's going to be the last that we see of him. Which the injuries piled up for you guys.
Yeah.
At kind of an alarming rate in this game. Like if you look back at it, it's kind of crazy how everything was able to kind of manage and still find a way to win this game.
It almost played out like the first game where everybody got hurt in Fort Worth, and you kind of thought that it was starting to happen here. I mean, we were a couple guys away from Ty having to play in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Keenan Garber, I'm sure we'll cover that at some point, but Keenan gets just like truly he hadn't been on defense for more than 2 weeks. I mean, it might have been less than a week. And he goes out there and he played pretty flawlessly, if I remember correctly, like just unreal. And the fact that him and Pac were also best friends, so I'm sure Pac had got him ready to go for that week because they knew it'd be a possibility if anybody got hurt. But yeah, just unreal that he was able to step in and do that.
Yeah, and we also see a lot of freshman Jacob Parrish playing in the secondary in this game as well. The defense made quite a few big plays in this one, and they had a lot of guys out there being forced into some pretty important roles. All right, so here is the stretch that leads to K-State's second touchdown of the game and their first lead, including the previously mentioned final play of the game for Malik Knowles.
Look forward to the halftime analysis. Another one of those jet sweeps to Knowles, and another successful play. Malik Knowles is free. Stiff arm. They still can't get him down all the way to the red zone. What a weapon.
How about the blocks? Anytime you see a big run like this, you're going to see great blocks. Right tackle Duffy. Good job by Sinnott. Nice job by Phillip Brooks. And this is the difference, I think, in Knowles and what we've seen from him this year. That next level of becoming a physical runner when he gets the ball. He used to not have that same kind of explosive physical running style.
Howard steps back on first down, launches to the end zone, caught made at the 2-yard line. That was Vaughn who snuck out, takes the football away from Perry, and it's 1st and goal.
You go empty, and you put your running back out here to show you what he can do at 5'6". Open to the middle of the field. Nice job of stepping away from pressure and a great throw.
And on tempo, walking into the end zone is Will Howard. Colin Klein was all over that drive. The jet sweep, the big throw to the running back, and the quarterback just walks in, and the Cats have the lead.
Put a star next to that one with Colin Klein. You're right about that.
So I want to kind of look at a couple of things here, and mainly, obviously, Will featured heavily. You were around for the first 3 years of Will's career at K-State, and we all know that the first 2 were not the most encouraging. What was it like for you guys watching him go through this kind of transformation and become, I mean, these are some confident throws that he's ripping in there, and just seeing this transition that he made over, from those first 2 years to what he turned into in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, just the amount of the growth that he showed from 2020 all the way to that point. And even my roommates and I had like kind of a somewhat special view on that, because when Skyler hosted Will for his official visit, it was during spring ball of going into would have been the 2019 season. So yeah, it's early 2018 or 2019, sorry. And it was a weekday in the spring, and Skyler's hosting Will for his official visit, brings him over to the house, and seems like a really cool guy, but you could just tell how young he was, and just like how much he had to grow and just become a Division I quarterback, and gets thrown into the fire in 2020. He never really bats an eye, and that's kind of how everyone took the 2020 season. Just like, it's going to be tough. We tried to play every game. There's some games that we had no business showing up for, but coach still rolled us out there and we gave it our all. And so that made a lot of us, grow and become a little bit tougher. And then 2020, he gets put into another tough spot where Skyler gets hurt again early in the season. And he had a couple games that he played outstanding and a couple games that he wanted back. But you saw the improvement. And then, 2022, Adrian gets the job. Will just kept showing up to work every day, and then when he got his chance, he let it rip. So yeah, it was awesome to see, and the way he threw the ball, especially in 22 when he just came in there and he was just firing. He had great chemistry with the receivers, so credit to him, just staying in the fight and just continue to put in the work. And then when his time came, he was just on it.
I'm sure I know the answer to this, but it's what I believe. So I'm curious to get a player's point of view. You guys think that regardless of if Adrian had stayed healthy or what ended up happening with Will, you guys still win the Big 12 this year? Because I think that is a debate that fans go back and forth on.
Yeah, tough to tell. Like, yeah, really, really like can't answer that one correctly or incorrectly. I mean, so what? Adrian got hurt it was like the Baylor game where Adrian started the game, but then Will came in. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was the last time it happened. Because, in Fort Worth, Adrian gets hurt early, Will rips, and then Will gets hurt. Yeah. And so Jake Rubley gets 2 drives, and that's kind of where the game gets away from you guys. And then, Adrian comes back for Will plays that O-State game, 48-0. And then Adrian comes back for the Texas game. Exciting game. He plays pretty well in that one. And then the Baylor game gets knocked out early, and then it was Will's job from there.
Yeah, that's right. And hard to think anybody was gonna, like, you could take any quarterback in the country. I mean, that might be a bold claim, but not very many quarterbacks in the country would have thrown the ball like Will did for that West Virginia game, even though he threw pick 6. That Oklahoma State game, he played lights out. Obviously the TCU game, he played lights out. So yeah, hard. I mean, we still may have won the Big 12 with Adrian, but hard to imagine that our passing was going to be that good.
Yeah, that West Virginia game is one of the crazier games that I've watched. A lot of things going on early in that one, and I think what Will did throwing the ball in 2022 and kind of the heater that he got on is exactly why I was pretty confident that Ohio State would win the national championship or could the year that he was there, because you just go, I've seen this guy get hot when it matters most, and obviously it worked out both of those seasons for him. So. All right, we get back into the action. K-State gets a stop, but stalls out, stuffed on 4th and 1, just barely into TCU territory. And they come back out, and Quentin Johnson looks like he has another big catch and is blown past Julius Brents. But fortunately, there's going to be a fumble on the play.
Got 2 true freshman DBs in there for K-State trying to stop this receiving core. Duggan delivers a long throw. Johnston is left alone. And he's wide open. Ball's out on the ground, and K-State's made the recovery. Austin Moore recovers it. The first turnover of the game is a huge one. Snuffs out the threat.
So there, K-State gets the turnover. Not going to be able to do anything with it. Cade Warner had a nice catch, but it was taken away after the ball bumps the ground. And just before the end of the half, Griffin Kell will make a field goal for TCU. So it goes in the locker room 14-10 at halftime. Do you remember anything or stuff that sticks with you from this day of anything that Coach Kleiman or any of your other coaches or teammates said in these moments, like when you go into the locker room with the lead at a Big 12 championship game and, similar, you had the lead in Fort Worth against TCU. Like what stands out from those moments of not actually playing in the game, but the stuff around it from that day?
I mean, we just roll into halftime, go in the locker room, and it's kind of what we expected. Like we knew if we played our brand, like we were gonna have them, and so going into halftime, we felt great. Like everything's going accordingly. We knew they were gonna have big plays. Like Duggan was a Heisman candidate, so we knew what to expect, that he was gonna be able to put some stuff together, and we were gonna want some plays back, but. We felt like we did a really good job up to that point of just moving on to the next play when they struck and just kind of creating a little bit of chaos. And we kind of knew that they were going to be in the playoff and we were going to go to the Sugar Bowl no matter what, but we still wanted to be a spoiler, and winning a Big 12 championship is a big deal. So going into halftime, we knew that was still very possible, and now we could get it done, and it was going to be great. So, we expected to be up at halftime, I guess.
So to come out, this is the start of the second half, pretty early on in the process. This is a notable play here, and there were a lot in this game that could have been momentum swings or things that maybe tucked this game away a little bit easier for K-State. And one of those that stands out for everybody is the Austin Moore block of Max Duggan's pass, where the ball is still very much in his hands, and people thought it was a safety. It was originally called that on the field, but then confusing language and probably a bad rule to say that, hey, his arm was coming forward even though the ball was still in his hand, made it an incomplete pass instead of a fumble. But this is the play in question.
Duggan scrambling. And the ball is knocked loose and recovered in the end zone by TCU. Safety signaled. Brandon Coleman.
Chris, that ball, as he was getting ready to throw the ball, it looked like Justin Moore, 41, man, knocked that ball out of his hands before his hands started.
Got to point this out. It was a tough day for Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on the names. Kirk calls Austin Moore Justin Moore relentlessly. And then Sinnett is what he was saying for Ben Sinnott. And Chris Fowler, every time he referenced Chris Kleiman, said Kleeman, which I thought most people had gotten over at least by 2020. So not a great day for the A team for ESPN here.
That's brutal.
Justin Moore did make me laugh.
I know he's a white linebacker, like wearing a pretty generic number, and his first name is like just a traditional Justin, though. I mean, I think that was just some assuming on Kirk's part. I don't think he did a lot of looking down at his at his call sheet.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
Watching this again, I still don't understand how this gets overturned.
It's a bad rule. I think it's just the way that the rule is written, and because then Bill Lamagna came on here and starts saying, "Yeah, I think this should hold up," and then the second it goes on longer, he's like, "Well, the rule does say," so they could say this. It's like, yeah, that means it's a bad rule. Like if the ball is still firmly in your hand, I don't care if your arm's going forward or backwards. If it gets knocked out, I think that should be a fumble. So because that ball has not left his hand at all, he is still grasping it.
He kind of stalled, like it was almost a pump fake, and he'd gotten to that forward point. I was shocked when they overturned that.
And if he is literally anybody else but a quarterback, that's a fumble. So like that's what I don't understand here.
Yeah, a lot to not like about what took place there. Ultimately, you could say it doesn't matter because K-State is going to score, and we'll show you the electric scoring drive in just a second here. But again, like they're going to punt, so K-State gets the ball. Like you could say, well, they also probably come out and score with 2 extra points attached to it. You're getting like a 9-point drive out of it, which would have been significant. But K-State is going to eventually make it a 21-10 game. We get a lot of action here. We get Ben Sinnott doing a somersault after a big first down. The ball that just gets ripped to R.J. Garcia, a legacy catch for R.J. Garcia. And then after the touchdown, Bud Clark tries to fight Ben Sinnott, which I'm sure that you and your teammates have some funny thoughts on that. So we'll show all that, and then we can unpack what we watched here in just a second.
40-yard catch and a 40-yard run in the first half. Play action on first down. Howard looks down the seam and finds Sinnott. And the tight end who scored the touchdown earlier, rumbling into Horned Frogs territory.
Well, Chris, they showed Chet sweep look again with Vaughn. Watch the backers' reaction. Sinnott's able to sneak out of there right behind them. Nice seam route. Good job of affecting the eyes with that same look, this time with Deuce Vaughn.
Got 26, and now the Cats crank some tempo. Howard looking to throw again on first down. Launches to the end zone. Jump ball touchdown. R.J. Garcia with his first touchdown of the season. Filling in for their fallen star, and the Cats are stretching the lead.
How about this quad look into the boundary? You're going to go with 4 receivers here, and look on the back end. Look how we got 4, coach. We got 4 receivers into the boundary. What do we do here? Not quite on the same page. Great route to the inside by R.J. Garcia. Great job of putting that formation in to create the confusion and the hesitation.
Field is a touchdown. After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 26. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. That is number 26's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
So Bud Clark flag, but you saw the wrinkle, that diamond formation there. Yeah. And R.J. Garcia, redshirt freshman of Land O'Lakes, Florida, just his 6th catch of the season, the first tug.
Yeah, great job. And again, you need people to step up. This time it's R.J. Garcia. Bud Clark took a swing. It's Sinnott after that touchdown.
So here's what happened at the end of.
So they'll show the punch here that Bud Clark throws because he got lit up a little bit and then just and he's ready to go back for more and then has to stop because Ben Sinnott does not care and just wants to go celebrate the touchdown there.
That screen grab from when Bud Clark's squaring up and Ben's already past him celebrating is elite.
It's the little step that comes with it too, like trying to get in there. Like he clearly doesn't, I think, want to fight more. He just wants to act like he is and see if he can get Ben to do something, and he does not care.
My question for you is, on this 2022 team, is there a player that you'd want to fight less than Ben Sinnott?
Katori Leviston or Daniel Green. 2 guys with really heavy hands that you don't want to be on the other side of.
That checks out.
That does check out.
That I could assume that.
Okay. That team, we would always have a running question of if we put a silverback gorilla in the locker room, threw him in that bottom players lounge area of the locker room, could the team take it? And we always came down to the point is like, you know, if like Katori like can do some damage, we might be able to take the gorilla. But if we send out Katori first, then we're done for.
So who would you send out first to kind of be the sacrificial lambs? Are you
Well,
one of
we
them?
just got smallest guys first. Well, not Deuce, but you know, we'll send out the walk-ons first, and then just, you know, kind of wear them out and see what the offensive line can do on the back end.
I like that. Okay, so K-State's up 21-10. Get back out on defense, and Felix Anyudike-Uzama is going to get the sack that he wanted. He tells a story after the game about collecting the towels of the quarterbacks that he's sacked in his career. So he went into the K-State locker room after the game with Max Duggan's towel, and that was part of the post-game celebration. Unfortunately, I have to show this. K-State wins the game, and I still hate looking at it. So we're going to get to see the sack, and then we have to watch the bad play that follows.
Mercado is the back. Duggan facing some pressure. He'll be sacked. And Aduke Uzoma came around the edge, and the top sack man in this conference knocks him down, and the Cats get off the field again. Well,
and it should be pointed out that Chris Fowler does also. He goes a little Tim Brando style on Felix's name there. And I don't know that Anaduke, that probably is not something that Felix wants to be associated with his last name. So this feels big. I mean, K-State is 21-10, early third quarter, got TCU on their heels. They're going to have to punt here. And this is the greatest fear that everybody has watching a punt take place.
The year makes a big play. First sack of Duggan, and the punt is now muffed. A scramble for it. TCU's got it. Oh my goodness.
So Phillip Brooks muffed the punt, and TCU takes over pretty deep into K-State territory. And you may think, okay, this is not going well. Kendra Miller finds the end zone. It's 21-17. TCU is going to eventually get the ball back. Quentin Johnson beats Julius Brents again. Julius Brents makes up for it by getting a pass interference call in the end zone, which is notable because then they flip sides the field in the fourth quarter. We'll get ready to start. But the muff punt there is something that sticks out from this game of many times where you go, man, if that play doesn't happen and it goes K-State's way, maybe this thing doesn't end up in overtime, and maybe TCU isn't able to keep it tight the whole way.
For sure. Tide definitely shifted right after that muff punt. And you know what? Like, it is what it is at that point, because in the history of K-State, like, there's a few set of guys that you'd send back there to receive that punt and say, like, yep, I trust whatever's going to happen here. I'm going to die with this guy on the sword. So that's Phil Brooks. That's Tyler Lockett or Morgan Burns. I don't know if Morgan Burns fielded punts or not. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple others. But Jordy Sandy had the game of his life that day and was just hitting everything sky high, turning them all over. And that's what happens when you put it outside the numbers, and Gunner's right there. Yeah, tough.
Are you aware of all, like, the building that you're punting in, and how, like, when a guy's looking up, how the view will impact them? Like, obviously when you're outdoors, it's probably mostly the same everywhere, depending on, you know, the weather conditions that day. But AT&T Stadium's kind of a different beast with the lights and the roof above you, and, you know, sometimes a giant scoreboard. Like, is that something that you take into consideration? You punted in that building twice, so.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely do. I think Coach Kleiman was he was one of the best at taking the elements of the kicking game into account when trying to decide when we want the ball, what side we want to defend first, and what we want to have in the fourth quarter. There, it's kind of neutralized. It's same elements throughout the entire game, but not too many returners or players get to experience the dome in college. So when you get in there, it's kind of funky, especially at all indoors. You don't really get to field punts in them. They're too short. So, I mean, Phil tried to catch as many punts as possible indoors before that game, but it's just never going to line up with what you're actually going to see in the game.
So the fourth quarter gets underway, and they come back highlighting the College Football Playoff Selection Committee that's chilling in a hotel 20 miles away from the stadium, which during this time includes Gene Taylor, the athletics director at K-State, which has to be a wild experience to be in the exact same metro area as the school that you work for, but you can't be at the game. You have to be sequestered in a hotel room and watch it with a bunch of other people, not wearing any K-State gear. This is just very neutral. I can only imagine what this experience was like for Gene, but they come back and it follows with a really important play. The second one that Julius Brents is able to have to make up for his rough day.
Well, Grapevine, Texas has been made famous by the CFP Selection Committee, which meets about 20 miles away from the stadium. And they are looking into the beginning of Championship Saturday here. Of course, the exclusive reveal, the final bracket, and all the New Year's Six Bowl games tomorrow, noon Eastern time. Available on the ESPN app as well. Is TCU in even if they don't win? That is the question of the moment. 3rd and 7, another 3rd and long for this offense. Only converted one of these today. Duggan under pressure immediately launches for the end zone. Intercepted. The pressure forced a terrible decision, and Julius Brents, who's had a rough quarter, makes the pick.
Drew and I talk a lot looking back in this series of the performances that you see good and bad from players, whether it's K-State or the opponent. And the one that really set this into motion, last year we watched the 2009 K-State KU game. So the first game that's kicked off the long winning streak that K-State's on right now. And Todd Reesing was still the quarterback for KU in that game. And we every time we reference this and go, could you imagine if somebody for K-State played that poorly in a game of that magnitude? Like, it's hard to fathom. And up to this point, Max Duggan was kind of having a game like this. And especially if that, fumble had been upheld that Austin Moore forced, you start to think about that. The interception there, it was not a good ball. You get a lot of the just dead-faced look from Max Duggan throughout this game where he actually wasn't having the greatest of games until obviously we'll get to a few plays later on here in this moment. But K-State gets the ball thanks to the pick from Julius Brents, moving the ball. They get to around midfield, and then I think this is probably the most iconic offensive play from this game that will be played at Bill Snyder Family Stadium for the rest of time.
Vaughn gets the edge. Deuce Vaughn in the clear. Can he make a man miss? And it's easy. Touchdown, Kansas State. And the Cats get closer to the conference championship. 44 yards as they cash in on the takeaway. Unfair in space.
Yeah, Chris, watch the motion. Watch the corner go, and watch this play designed to go to the right. Bang, there's another example of how you never know where it might go with Deuce Vaughn. Great job of feeling that play design to go to your right, gets it back to the left, using that motion, takes the corner away, and the linebackers just could not catch up to Deuce.
And Mark Perry, the safety out there thinking, uh-oh, it was a mismatch. In the open field. Yep. And how about that? The interception in the end zone by Brents.
So there you go. K-State makes it a 28-17 game with 11 and a half minutes left. And this is another one of those moments where if you're there, you're watching, you start to think to yourself, all right, here we go. Like you feel pretty good at this point. That's one of those that makes you think it's over. But K-State is going to have to go back out on defense. Another pass interference penalty on Julius Brents covering Quentin Johnston. Then Brents almost has an interception, very easily could have had a crack at it. Doesn't get it, though, and it leads to TCU converting on a 4th and 10. TCU ends up with a holding penalty, so it takes them out of the mindset of getting a touchdown. They settle for a field goal to make it 28-20, and they will get the ball back with 4 minutes and 47 seconds from K-State. And this is where the Max Duggan legacy drive begins. And before we watch chunks of this, and it's just really Max Duggan running nonstop for a few minutes, what is it like experiencing that from the sideline? And obviously, you play a position where you in the offense, you cannot be a part of stopping him. So you're just watching this unfold and you have no say.
Yeah, I mean, every time I talk about this game with somebody, I explain it like true Heisman moment. Like, you know it when you're seeing it. And he obviously didn't go win the Heisman, but this was a Heisman moment where he just kind of put the team on his back. They're down to kind of their last breath, where things almost have to go somewhat perfect for him to be able to just get the game into overtime. And yeah, you could tell how much he was struggling out there, how much pain he was in, how tired he was, and he just kept making plays, battling back after, like you said, had played terrible. And I'm just standing next to the other specialist. Jack Bloomer and I are at the kicking net, and I mean, if somebody took a video of myself, I would have been looking like a little girl, just like jumping up and down, like I'm shoving Jack around, being like, how crazy is this? Like, this dude is just running all over the field. This is a Heisman moment. They have to just play perfectly here on out to win this game, and we're gonna be fine. But this is just crazy. And gosh, I just remember standing there with Jack watching that, just thinking of how crazy of a situation it was.
Well, here it is, the legacy drive for Max Duggan. Parts of it shortened down a little bit, but this is about 3 minutes of probably the longest stretch of game time that K-State fans have experienced in a long time, watching Max Duggan truly have his Heisman moment. But fortunately, unlike most teams experience, K-State still is able to win a game when a Heisman moment happened against them.
3-man rush. Duggan flushed. Again, takes off and runs and weaves his way. That time he did slide. A good decision. It's 4th down and 2.
You rush 3, you drop 8, and by the way, you got 4 really deep and 4 right about at the first down marker, so a lot of yards to pick up.
Still playing pretty quick here. 2 yards to keep this drive alive. Duggan takes off again. 1st down and more. Max Duggan barreling down inside the 40. He has just said, give me the ball. I'm taking this over on the ground.
Yeah, he did it on 3rd down. This time gets a couple good blocks on 4th down. Really just setting himself up for that down. Did not hesitate. Saw it right away. And like you said, Chris, as a guy who's led this team, he wants the ball in his hands with a chance to make a play.
Pressure again. Launches downfield. Hudson, wide open, touchdown TCU. Did he push off to create the space? Is this coming back?
It will. Yeah, he pushed off to get the separation. That's a true freshman in Hudson. Pushing off.
Pass interference. Offense, number 7. 15-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
We've got Omar Daniels. We've had a lot of injuries to this secondary. Daniels is out there one-on-one against Jordan Hudson. Doesn't have safety help.
Mercado, and they run it on 1st and a mile. He fights back into K-State territory.
Straight
pressure again. It's picked up. Duggan, though, running out of time. He's got a lot of space. He can run again. Max Duggan, 1st down, tight bumps the sideline, and is finally shoved out of bounds. Max Duggan on the ground has been the story of this drive.
No doubt about it. Chris, they've been rushing 3. This time they blitz. They play man-to-man. Look at the coverage. If you can get away from that blitz, there's nobody left, and that's what he does. Man-to-man coverage, outruns the defensive line, and then down the sideline. Nobody in that secondary realized he had taken off.
Kirk, in this drive, Duggan has run for 15, 13, 19, and now 40 yards. 4 explosive runs, 1st and goal. They're all in on this possession, by the way. Clock winding under 2 minutes. The play clock's at 3. Another run. Duggan. How does he have anything left in the tank? He barrels in the end zone within 2 of time. Unbelievable effort by the quarterback in that position. He's so gassed, they should spend a timeout before the 2-point conversion here.
Well, speaking of gassed, I'm also gassed. I just had to run upstairs and take care of a crying 1-year-old and make a makeshift playpen for here. But there you go. Max Duggan I did all that in that 3 minutes. Max Duggan in, and they will get the 2-point conversion to tie the game. Drew, I want to know what you were experiencing here. Because I know in the press box, like obviously emotions are tampered down, but
Yeah.
everybody up there felt like K-State was about to win this game. And now all of a sudden you go, well, this is classic K-State right here. The opportunity is going to go by the wayside.
It did feel a little classic K-State of just kind of like, of course this would happen, especially after already being up 28-17. And this is where you kind of really think back to like, would have been nice if that would have been called a safety in the third quarter, and hoping that they could do something. But I was also at this point of the game, the offense has kind of been a little bit of feast or famine for K-State, but you're also kind of thinking, well, there's still plenty of time. The offense is really like one or two really big plays away from being in field goal range and maybe winning this game in regulation still. So like you're also kind of thinking about that of how that could play out. And I'm not just saying this because he's on our show right now, but like you kind of thought that if it came down to a field goal, K-State was probably in a better spot than TCU.
Yeah,
that does feel like you're just saying that because he is right here with us, but
I was definitely warming up for the field goal for that possession and not the punt.
So
we got the ball and I was like, all right, we should be good. Let's go ahead and take this clock down and kick the field goal, and just didn't end up working out that way.
So I wanted to mention that. So we will show the punt that you have here in a second towards the end of the game. But K-State gets the ball to around midfield. The broadcast, they put up the mark there and said that the target was the 39-yard line. So do you remember what you thought your actual range was? Or I don't know, even if there was a spot that you said, hey, if we can get it to right here, I think I can have a chance to do this.
Well, I had a really good warm-up that day. Like kicking field goals in there is just it's just like a fun experience because you don't have to deal with the wind. The ball seems to carry really far in there. So I had a really good field goal warm-up day that day. And my line for if we have to have it last second, like nothing else matters, we could have attempted a 65-yard field goal. But I mean, anything at 60, like we were definitely going to give it a go.
Well, I imagine that the time and the situation would have played into that a little bit. That needed to probably be the last play of the game instead of giving Max Duggan the ball closer to midfield. And ultimately, K-State's not able to get it much closer. So they do decide to punt it away to TCU, and we get another punt inside the 10-yard line.
This is a clutch punt.
Yeah.
Like, if this is a touchback, there's more of a shot that they probably go and try and win the game in regulation.
Yes, I mean, some are saying that this punt broke their will. If you down them inside the 10, they just go, all right, well, let's move on and we'll just take it to overtime. So with 38 seconds left, all three timeouts though, TCU didn't really give it much of a go, and I think part of that probably had to do with Max Duggan was still trying to catch his breath from what he had just accomplished. So game goes to overtime, and it's going to start with Max Duggan running short of the goal line on 2nd and goal. They get the first set of downs pretty quickly, but then eventually K-State's able to get it. It's really a crucial stop by Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who we know in his career obviously had the greatness of being able to get to the quarterback, but two of his more impactful plays for what set things in motion in 2021 is the safety in Lubbock that he was able to force. And then this right here, I mean, almost reminiscent of the stop that K-State made on Ja'Cory Harris in Miami in the 2011 season that got the 2011 and 12 teams off to a good start. So here is the failed 2nd and goal attempt for a touchdown for Max Duggan and TCU.
Kind of a weird start to the play. It's Duggan rolling, makes a cut, stretches. No signal. They'll spot him short, just short of the goal line. That was a funky start to the play. Nobody looked ready.
No, and the two backs didn't even know what happened. They didn't know the ball was snapped, and it's like a backyard football play. Again, the toughness of this guy. Duggan stretches, knees are
It's the hip that
And
landed first.
they would review that to
Yeah.
nobody's surprise.
He's way short, but the broadcast makes it seem like he might have scored.
Yeah, well, they building the drama a little bit. So third down comes up, and Khalid Duke is able to make a big impact here with the stop of Kendre Miller, who tries to reach the ball out over the end zone. And TCU fans for the rest of the time will try to show that screen grab, and people are just like, well, I think his knee was down. Like, you can't really tell. This is a dumb exercise, but they will try. And this is what the first true goal line stand looked like.
Miller behind him. Miller's got the football, fighting, stretching, no signal.
So, Ty, I'll ask you, similar to watching Max Duggan just methodically run down the field and rip your hearts out, what is it like watching your defense start to make a couple of these plays? And do you the whole time think, hey, they are going to get this stop, or are you kind of resigned to the fact, okay, we're probably going to have to go out and get a touchdown here?
Well, I remember from my angle that second down play looked like he scored. And, when he's just running all about that close to the goal line, you're like, all right, they're about to punch it in here. But when it comes down to, inside the 1 yard line and with the front that we had, the linebackers that we had, like we could really stuff a team right there at the line of scrimmage. Now, that's a tough ask. Like, a lot of the correct things have to happen to make that happen for the defense. We always knew it was possible, and not very often are you banking on that happening. But yeah, those last two plays, and then with Uso getting hurt right there going into the fourth down, and I'm pretty sure this next play is Damien's maybe his first ever snap on the field as a Wildcat.
Yeah, this is another situation where a guy is on the field that has had limited playing time, and in the most important game of the season, most important game that K-State's played in a decade, it's a bunch of guys on defense that are getting their first real cracks out there. And yeah, Damien Ilalio is a big part of this.
I'll also throw this out here. If you're a TCU fan still posting that screen grab, number one, you're a loser because you didn't score. Number two, that's closer, I think, to being a fumble than a touchdown because the ball was just loose on the top of the pile there for a minute.
So here is the fourth down stop. Eli Huggins is the first one to make contact there, and K-State's going to get the ball back with 0 TCU points on the board.
Miller is the back. He's got the ball. No! Kansas State stops him. K-State's defense rises up on the goal line and denies Miller. And now any points on their possession will win them a Big 12 title.
So at this stage, what's your mindset now knowing that you only need the field goal? Honestly, if TCU scores there a touchdown, you're probably not seeing the field in overtime because K-State probably just goes for 2 to try to end it right there because they would have had to have gone for 2 starting the next possession anyway. So what is going through your head, and what are you kind of feeling even before you've taken the field? Everybody's seen the video of you smiling heading onto the field to take the kick. So what is it while you're waiting over there and you go, okay, I have to watch the offense at least run a couple plays, get us into position?
Yeah, well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Eli right there. That dude, frickin', out of everybody on the field for that fourth down play, gosh, like he's the one that he deserved to make that stop, and that's one hell of a play. Unreal. But to answer your question, I honestly just wanted them to just trot us out there on first down. I know Coach Kleiman and no coach would ever do that. Like, that'd be the worst decision, but that's just how antsy I was to get out there and just knock it through. I was that confident that I was going to make it. So I was like, don't even risk it. Let's just roll on out there and hit it. And, from the plays ensuing, Coach Burnham and I had a long dialogue of debating what my best kick percentage-wise was, whether it's left hash, middle, or right hash. So he would always pull up the practice stuff and be like, well, your practice stuff tells me this. And I would always say, dead center. Like, I don't want that thing on the hash. Like, I want it right in the middle. So we kind of like went back and forth on that for a couple of plays during overtime. And then thankfully they centered it.
I think in that moment, they probably decided that it was better to just go with whatever was going to make you feel the most comfortable as opposed to whatever their numbers said.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I wish I could go back for that conversation because we went at it for a couple plays. I was like, no, you got to center this. I don't want it on the right hash. I hate the right hash.
So we get how you're feeling there. Is it true nerves? Like, do you go through, because whenever I watch somebody, kick a field goal in that moment, shoot a free throw late in a game, I go through and I think to myself, man, like, I don't know how they're able to truly do that in this moment. But, athletes do it all the time. I'm sure there are other professions. Doctors are probably doing a lot. Like surgeons, they probably are in some hairy moments. You're like, well, they find a way to get it done. But like, what is it that you're actually feeling? Do you feel like there's anything that could like physically inhibit you from getting it done because of those nerves? Or is it just truly like only a mental thing and you can, it's a repetitory motion for you?
Well, I would say that college football overtime, especially the second possession, it's so weird when it's going to come down to the kick. Like, we have 5 plays of like just trying to get it closer because we know we're going to attempt the kick. So like, there's a lot of time between the stop and me trotting out on the field where everybody in the building knows that we're going to go kick a field goal. We're just waiting for it to get sent out. So I can see where for a lot of kickers, like, that can wear on you quick and just you got to fight the nerves and just try and stay in your routine as best as possible. So I went to the opposite side of the field, and there was a lot of people that normally I would not interact with that were coming up to me initially saying, you got this. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, get out of my way.
Teammates or coaches or like
Yeah,
other random
teammates,
people on the
coaches,
sidelines?
support staff, people that probably shouldn't really be right there on the bench or on the sideline, that I'm like, you got to get away from me. So I'm like trying to rely on the other specialists to like keep me like in my own little bubble right there at the net. But yeah, like I said, it can, I can see why like it would wear on other kickers or other specialists where the kick's coming and you just got to wait out the 5, 6, 7 plays that happened before.
All right, so that's the one of the last things I have for you before we watch what takes place. I am always fascinated though, because I've heard, from years of my dad watching me or my brothers in golf tournaments or other sporting events, and again, nothing near the level of what you do here, about how he feels watching us out there. Do you have any idea of what, like, has your wife or your parents or any other family members like explain to you what their emotions are building up to you going out and taking a kick like that?
Yeah, so my parents were at the game. My dad tried to not watch because he just couldn't, but my mom didn't let him. She's like, you have to. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, here it is. The K-State is going to get the ball in the middle of the field to Ty's liking, and everybody knows what happens from this point on. And this will be the end of the game, and then also part of Chris Kleiman's interview with Holly Rowe at the end of the game.
And it's a very safe keeper. Howard just goes over, gets the ball in the middle of the field for Ty Zentner, the senior from Topeka, by way of Butler Community College. Comes out there with a smile. He does the punting. He does the kickoffs. And most importantly, he does the field goals. And the guy who was given a chance mid-season when that was a very shaky area for K-State comes out here to give Kansas State a Big 12 championship. Dead center, 31 yards out.
So I'll stop real quick, because this was a big part of the season. Is after that TCU game, the switch is made where Chris had been kicking for the first half of the year. They go to you to do the place kicking. What were those conversations like, and really that whole experience? Because then we know once you took over, you didn't miss a kick.
Yeah, I'd stayed ready all season just because I was going to be the backup guy. We weren't going to travel an extra specialist just to be a backup field goal kicker. So, and obviously I did the kickoffs too. So I'd stayed ready all season. I'd reached a point where like I wasn't kicking a ton, but in practice I was still striking it really well. And then when Chris really started to struggle, like him and I had a conversation the day following the TCU game. I was feeling really confident in my ability at the time, and so I felt like I'd kind of deserved an opportunity to just go out there and see how well I could do it, because I'd pretty much been the backup kicker for 3 years prior. So yeah, the conversation with Chris was easy. Like, he understood, and he was a outstanding teammate about it too. And that's, he ended up having a great career and like a great final season, hit a game winner against KU, and he earned that because of like going through times where he wasn't kicking well and to get to that point. So that was awesome to see. But yeah, the transition as far as talking it with coaches, like Coach Kleiman was awesome about it, just really supportive, just wanted to make sure I wasn't over kicking, and same thing with Coach Burnham.
Now, this is where I like to be transparent with people we have on here at Big 12 Media Days. I did show Colin Klein a Facebook post that I had when I was 13 years old that said, I don't think that this Colin Klein guy is as good as we thought he was. That was during the Eastern Kentucky game that they only won 10-7, his first start in 2011. So I addressed that with him. I will be upfront with you, and I want to get your thought on this. During your time at Butler, you were 9 of 16 on field goals. So when you took over, I did maybe try to put some water out and tell people, I was like, I don't know that this is going to fix anything. Like, when he did place kicking last, it was mixed results in community college. So what was it that changed from, mixed results at Butler to what you were able to do once you got to K-State? Probably experience, maybe some better blocking, a lot of things I'm sure played into that. But what happened during that transition time?
Yeah, well, I was a really good kicker at Butler. Like, yes, you're right. The numbers don't show that. It would even show you that I missed a bunch of extra points probably too. A lot of them were blocked. If you look at this screen grab, we have 2 wings and 2 tight ends. So at Butler, take out those wings, put them on the line of scrimmage or just off the line of scrimmage, I guess, but they're facing forward. So our edge was non-existent. We weren't able to block the edge rushers. And then, without a specialized snapper and holder, made it a lot more difficult. So a lot of blocks, a few misses, but I want to say my second year, I think they were all blocks.
Well, that's good to know. I will never criticize a JUCO kicker again. Then I will not hold that against them.
It's a little different now. I feel like now they're doing a better job of getting long snappers and punters that can hold into at least at Butler, anyways. So
yeah, it says 31 of 37 on extra point attempts in 2018. So you in total you missed in quotations. What that'd be like 7 and then 6. You missed 13 of the 53 kicks on there. So that makes sense in good context for the moment, which we will finally get to, and let the moment breathe for everybody to relive it.
Kansas State outlasts TCU, and they are Big 12 champions for the first time in a decade. And after fighting from behind in the fourth quarter yet again, Sonny Dykes' offense comes up inches short in the top of the first in overtime. He chose to trust his offensive line and try to punch it in, not settle for 3. Duggan, a tremendous job. Most would say this is enough, but it'll be
as Dykes told us yesterday, still kind of an anxious evening in Fort Worth.
Yeah, a lot of time to talk about that. I just want to say, man, Kansas State, the year that they've had, a lot of people doubting them. They've had to make some changes at quarterback when Martinez went down. Will Howard stepped up. They kept fighting, kept battling in a competitive conference, got themselves in a position to be in this game, and they come in with a championship heart, and it goes into overtime, and they find a way to get it done. Congrats to Kansas State.
And Chris Kleeman, who won 4 championships of the FCS just down the road in Frisco, comes to Arlington and wins a Big 12 championship. Holly?
So, Coach Kleiman, this was a difficult, tough, physical game. What did you see from your team in that goal line stand to keep them out with the championship and inches to go?
Rise up. Rise up. We talked about it all week long. When people doubt you, rise up. And we were destined to be here. And our kids rose up today. Awesome football team. I hope they get a chance. I hope they get a chance to play next week or month because they're worthy of it. But that group was doubted all year. And they continue to rise up. I couldn't tell you much about the senior leadership.
You talk about kids who are doubted on your team. Will Howard has been through more than almost any kid in America. Tell me how he rose to this occasion today.
You know, let's compliment Adrian Martinez because Adrian Martinez has helped Will Howard. Things that Adrian went through, Will went through some of those. Those two have become best of friends. Those two are why we're here. Both those two guys are why we're in this position.
People might have doubted the size of Deuce Vaughn at some point in his life, but the heart is immeasurable. How did that young man ride this wave?
Guy's a dude. He's one of the best players in college football. We rode him today. Can't say enough about that guy, that group of guys. People doubted us, man. Holly, we won the friggin' Big 12. Are you kidding me?
Yes, you did, Coach, and nobody doubts you anymore. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
And a 10th win sends them to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl. It's a big deal for the Purple Cats of Kansas State. TCU hoping they've done enough. Max Duggan did all he could today. Again, falling inches short in overtime.
All right, so there you go. K-State 31-28, the final score in that game, and the third Big 12 championship in program history coming off the foot of Ty Zentner. Any other thoughts that you have from that game, from this time that you reflect on?
I just think about how fun it was from the moment the kick went in to, getting back to Manhattan that evening, going to the basketball game, but kind of hanging out in the field with all the confetti out there, taking pictures with all the boys, and just soaking it in. Like, gosh, wish I could go back and relive it. It was a lot of fun memories.
What's it like transitioning to, getting to experience all that? You get to play in some NFL games, and now you just have a regular job. Like, what is that like being on a stage like that and just now I'm just a regular guy?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I really, in my time in NFL, I really struggled to feel the emotion and like the how big the moment was when I was going to the game. Something that I really never struggled with in college because of all the relationships that you have with your teammates that you feel like you've grown up with in college. You don't have that in the NFL. So I always felt fired up, ready to go for the college games, and didn't quite feel that for the NFL games because I just didn't really know my teammates. So the bond you create with your college teammates is something that you're never going to get in a workplace. You're never going to get on an NFL team. You might have it with your high school basketball team or whatever it is, but it's definitely different. So, we'll all see each other here in 2 weeks at the first home game, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
You what's it like for you going back and people seeing you? Because this is something like you are going to be one of the guys because of that kick that is remembered forever at K-State, and you're in a very special part of K-State history. So like, what's the experience like for you? How do people treat you? Is it any different than you would have anticipated prior to hitting that kick?
I'm sure it is different just because, a lot of the memories that are associated with the moment that we won the game. But there's so many guys on that team that, deserve special memories from people watching and K-State fans around that, at some point we'll have the whole team back together and experience a game. It'll be a lot of fun, but yeah, it's always great to go back and just see the faces that you remember being there when we were struggling and at the top of our games. So it's always a lot of fun being back in Manhattan.
All right. Well, last thing we'll hold you here for. Anytime there's a big game, we look back at these. They always have the Aflac trivia question during the game, and the question for this game was how many teams ranked third in the next to last CFP rankings have failed to reach the college football playoff. The answer to that was just one, and it was TCU in 2014. So they were kind of setting that seed. Some of these games don't have it, but we like to do our own KSO trivia question for KSO Classic. So the question for both of you to try to team up on this. Ty Zentner had the last scoring play for K-State in the 22 Big 12 title game. Who had the last score for K-State in the first 3 Big 12 championship game appearances that K-State played in? So that would be 98, 2000, and 2003. Drew and I were young during all of those. Wow. Ty, you were younger than us during those by a few years. So I would not have known the answer to any of these. I maybe formulated a little bit of a guess, but this is why this is maybe the trickiest one I've done, but I thought it was a fitting topic. So any guesses or names you want to throw out there? And if it helps, I will give you the final score of those games, if that would give you any context clues.
I can give you 03 because 03, the scoring stops like early fourth quarter because it's a Ted Sims pick 6.
Yeah, but who's the kicker? Because the extra point, right?
So that I'm not counting PATs in this. It's for if you're looking at the game log and it's saying who scored there. So yes, that would have been really cheap of me if I was just like, yeah, it's all kickers. No, it's not all that. But yes. So okay, Drew, which one are you throwing out there?
03 Ted Sims pick 6.
Let me confirm here that this was correct. I don't know that I wrote this down properly. If you think that's the case, let's see. I'm gonna have to go find it again, Drew. You might be right on that. I may have gotten it incorrect.
It was one of them. What were the years of the games? Sorry.
So 98, 2000, and 2003.
And 98's the game against Texas A&M.
Yes.
So I guess my guess for that would be Michael Bishop or Martin Gramatica.
Martin Gramatica is correct. Unfortunately, K-State came away with a field goal in the second overtime, and Texas A&M came away with a touchdown on their possession after that. So yes, Martin Gramatica had the last score of that game. Drew, you are correct. Ted Sims in 2003 has the last score of that one. So the last one remaining out there for you is 2000, the Big 12 championship game, as K-State tried to make a comeback against Oklahoma.
Is 2000 like a Jonathan Beasley run?
It's a pass from Jonathan Beasley with 6 seconds left in the game to make it a 3-point game.
Oh boy. Was
it a Lockett?
It was not a Lockett. It was not a Lockett. Drew, we've talked about this guy.
Myself if I keep throwing out answers.
We've talked about this guy a lot over the course of KSO Classic.
Oh, is this Quincy Morgan?
It is Quincy Morgan. Yes. So Martin Gramatica, Quincy Morgan, and Ted Sims.
This was one of your toughest questions that you've asked.
And I realized that, but I thought it was maybe a fitting one.
And part of that was because I was, I think, 3 weeks old for one game, and then 2 for another game, and then 5.
I don't remember watching any of these games with my own eyes either, Drew. But it's to get you to throw out names, and there's more people out there than those of us in our 20s associated with K-State, and they like. I think there are people that think the 91 KU game that we did last week is going to be their favorite KSO Classic of all time, and we weren't alive for that. So, anyways,
those people just wait for the 82 Independence Bowl next year.
Yeah, and get sick of that. All right, Ty, we appreciate you taking the time to join us today and looking back at this game. Is there anything else you want to say before we let you get on with your day?
Well, after watching some of those big plays, I'm excited to see CK cook up the offense again. Some of those offensive packages are looking real nice, so I'm excited to see some of that this year.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll hopefully see offense very similar to what we got over the 2022 season, and look forward to. We'll probably see you in Manhattan for game number 1 this year. And thanks for coming on, and definitely thanks for making that kick against TCU.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, take care.
Thanks.
All right, we appreciate Ty Zentner coming on and joining us
hear ya.
for. Oh, you should be able to hear me. I can hear you. I think Drew's having problems here on his end, so we may have to boot him out, and he'll come back in. But we appreciate Ty Zentner joining us on this episode of KSO Classic. Drew and I still have the rest of the recap that we need to get into, so we will do that once he hops back on. But certainly enjoy the player perspective, and I thought nobody better to come in and provide the player point of view than the guy that had the consequential kick in the game. So enjoy that, and hopefully everybody liked getting to hear from Ty as well.
Yeah, I mean, who else would be better? I mean, he won the game. He's the one that, like, you see the Deuce Vaughn play a lot, but you also, I think everybody forgets that a lot of the hype videos include the field goal to beat TCU too, and like a really good call by Chris Fowler too. Is like a very iconic play.
Yeah, and there's just so many intricacies with kicking that I think it really is fascinating to get his perspective on, and like getting to hear the conversation about, hey, I feel better about being in the middle of the field, and them saying, well, the data says we want to pick a hash here or something like that. And I think you see most teams do pick a hash when their kicker is doing that, but comes through and makes it a 31-28 win.
It also is really interesting that K-State was willing to, it would have just gone to the second overtime. Because usually in a situation like this too, you also see the team try and kick on third down in case something really goes haywire. But K-State had a lot of faith in Ty Zentner for good reason.
Yeah, and it worked out. Final numbers on the day for Ty Zentner kicking: 4 of 4 on his PATs, 1 of 1 on his field goal from 31 yards. He had 7 punts for 319 yards. That's a 45.6 average. 4 of the 7 punts were inside the 20, a long of 56, and 3 of those 4 inside the 20 were downed inside the 10 for K-State. It was a special day punting the football for Ty Zentner. So that is what we have on that. Let's get into it. Best play from this game, Drew. There are a handful to pick. Which one sticks out to you?
I went the cheap way and went with Deuce just absolutely toasting that poor TCU safety. That's going to be in every highlight from 2022 until eternity.
Yeah, I think that has to be the answer. That is the play that people are going to remember and stick out. But watching back to this, it reminds you of just how many passes Will Howard threw in the 2022 season, where it was just it was a lot of confidence or stupidity, one or the other, but it worked out every time he tried ripping one of those balls in the 2022 season. Like the Baylor game, it was tight windows, West Virginia, and then certainly this one. Maybe the one that I would highlight here, just because it sticks out the most to me, is the RJ Garcia touchdown, because it is such a random one. If you want to go back and look at the 2003 Big 12 championship game, like, people kind of know the story of that one and how it ends up going down. But like, that game was dictated pretty early on from guys that were, notable names for K-State football. Like James Terry had a big play. Darren Sproles, you mentioned Ted Simmons' pick 6.
And obviously El had a huge day.
Yeah, massive day for him. He threw for 4 touchdowns in that game. Darren Sproles ran for 235 yards in the game, and then had 3 catches for 88 yards on top of it. So like, that is a game where it's like all these. RJ Garcia is going to be the most random guy to score a touchdown in a consequential game like this for K-State. And it's when he goes up in that moment where, in the press box, everybody's looking around at each other and going, RJ Garcia, was that who that was? And sure enough, and I actually think that's maybe Chris Fowler's best call of this game, is how he accentuates that, and the RJ Garcia, like, I thought really, really good on that. So I give a special mention to that. And that is one of those where you look at it and you go, man, I don't know that's a ball that Will Howard should have thrown there, but it worked out. Similar to the catch that Deuce goes up and makes right in front of the goal line. Like there were a lot of those, but they all worked out in 2022. And to what Ty said, a handful of that has to be credited to just the connection that Will had with a lot of these guys who, this was their third year. All of them had kind of come up together, and it paid dividends for K-State.
And you wonder if, because it was a lot of new faces catching balls in 2023, if that's why it didn't work as well.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Worst play, I think, is obvious.
It's obvious. It's the Phillip Brooks muff punt. There's no doubt about it. It gave TCU life. It was a painful moment to watch in real time. There's not a worse experience than watching your team muff a punt and give a possession away.
And especially when you have the momentum like K-State has. Like, I mean, I texted you about it, and we brought it up again today of like, if he doesn't muff that punt, I think that it's more likely that K-State runs away with the game because they had so much momentum.
It definitely felt like that, I would say. Like that, it seemed like it was trending in that direction. So I would definitely agree with that.
And it's one of those plays where you want to know what he's doing, because that's a punt where you can probably just let it go, because he had to run such a long ways to get to where the ball was. I would rather maybe start at the 15 or 10-yard line than potentially have something like that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's continue on. What aged well from this game? For me, the NFL talent for K-State. This is always a fun game, and you can go see why these teams ended up being the best in K-State history.
And TCU too.
Yeah, as it stands right now for K-State, 13 of the guys that played in this game have taken NFL regular season snaps, but that doesn't even consider the fact that VJ Payne played in this game, and he's getting ready to go into his rookie year. Uso Seumalo is in training camp with the Seahawks and was just featured on Hard Knocks this week. Like, this number is going to still grow a little bit more, but 13 players in this game took part in NFL games, including Ty Zentner, who we talked to today.
Does that include preseason?
That does not include preseason.
Well,
I'd have to go through and look at.
I don't think that DJ actually played a game last year either, and that would be another one.
Let's see. Yeah, maybe he didn't, but he did at least. He was drafted, so maybe it's considering that too.
Yeah.
If you just get drafted, I have to go look to see if I can.
I don't think that he actually played in a game last year, because I don't know if you know this, but Jonathan Taylor's pretty good.
Yeah, well, no, he got a few games last year. He had 12 carries for 41 yards last year. Yeah, but yes, the Colts are the last team in the NFL to say, we're just going to ride one guy until he dies, and but that is the Colts. But yes, DJ Giddens had 12 carries for 41 yards last year.
What else do you have in aging well here?
Well, I don't know if it's an age well or an age poorly, but like we talked a little bit, they were rough in this game. They had some moments, a lot of mispronunciations, but the Big 12 and K-State, they're never really going to probably get the ESPN A team like this again. Like, it's going to have to be a special circumstance. Like, you probably need Texas Tech and BYU to both be completely unbeaten, but that really, when are they ever not going to send Fowler and Herbstreit to the SEC championship game now?
Now with their deal, I mean, it is almost a guarantee. I had that actually in the aged poorly section.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, when you look back on it, it's like the big names calling these games. Like, you look at Musburger in 2003 calling that Big 12 title game, and here you get what was their number one team at the time and still is, but that's not like, it's not going to happen anymore.
No. I have the obvious one of Colin Klein.
Yep. Very well. And they did a great job of highlighting him in this game. Like, this is a good example of when people are like, well, it may not work out, or what makes you think it will? It's like, well, like, it was so much of a story 4 years ago, the job that he was doing, that this is not just a gratuitous, like, oh, yeah, he's coaching his alma mater. It's this cute thing. They are pumping him up as one of these bright, young offensive minds in college football because that's what he is.
I also kind of like you have like an aged well / poorly at the same time, but Ty just talked about it. K-State has a basketball game this night too, and literally since this moment, K-State has played the day of the Big 12 championship football game every year since.
Yeah, after Jerome Tang said that, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to learn not to do that. And then they continue to do it. And that trend, by the way, it continues this year. No saying it for K-State. They're on the road at Seton Hall on Friday night when the Big 12 title takes place. And yes, I am hoping that our flights get canceled to New Jersey that DY has in the hopper right now, because I would much rather be driving to Arlington for the Big 12 championship game to cover that. But yeah, that is a good point. That's definitely aged poorly. Is that this just started a string of K-State being like, yeah, why not? Like we want to play in the football title game, so let's just schedule a basketball game that same night anyways. Anything else from age well, age poorly that you want to toss out there?
The Big 12 logo on the field was ugly.
Well, that's one of those that it's aged poorly because it continues to suck, but it also kind of aged well because this would not be the last time that Big 12 logo was manipulated to look gross. So,
and then I have UCF and the American because they are now brothers with us.
Yeah. Age well, Tulane this entire season, they go on to win the Cotton Bowl that year. Odd that K-State back-to-back years lost a non-conference game to the eventual Cotton Bowl champs of Tulane and Missouri in back-to-back seasons. Grade the broadcasters in this one. This is tough because there are moments where you respect and you enjoy that this is the A team, and there's obviously redeeming qualities about them, but there are just so many missed names in this game that I think the best I can give them is a C+.
See, I was a little bit nicer. I went with just a solid B because there was a lot of missed names, but the highs were awesome from this crew.
Yeah.
The lows were really bad, but the highs are about as high as any team or broadcasting that we've done a KSO Classic for.
Yeah. Fowler's moments in this, he nailed the big ones with the deuce call when he's in the open field, the RJ Garcia catch that we talked about, and then Ty's field goal in there. So yeah, they got the big moments right. It's just when you watch back at this game, and this is the first time that I've watched the entire TV copy of the game. It's one of those that it continues to grind on you. Like, man, miss name. That it's just tough to kind of experience.
Justin Moore, still hilarious.
Nonstop. Come on, Kirk. Or should I call him Kurt? Kurt Herbstreit. Come on, Kurt. All right. MVP from this game. Who is it?
Well, it's the guy that actually won the MVP of this game in real life. It's got to be Deuce.
Is that who you voted for? Do you remember who you voted for?
That is who I voted for.
I'm trying to think. There's a part of me that almost thinks that I didn't, but I can't remember who I ended up voting for in the game.
I also remember that we voted like pretty close to right after Deuce had that long run to make it 28-17.
Yeah.
We voted very early. This was banking on K-State winning because, TCU comes back and wins this game, but Max Duggan doesn't win MVP would have been hilarious.
Well, no, but I think they gave us the option. You do both. You do like if Kansas State wins, it's this. If TCU wins, it's this. So I think I probably put Duggan in there. Although at the time, I also probably put like Quentin Johnson. I don't know. He had a huge day outside of that fumble. Quentin Johnson had 4 catches for 139 yards in the game. Max Duggan, end of the day, 251 yards passing, a touchdown there, and then 110 yards rushing and a touchdown. I may have given it to Will Howard just because of some of the balls that he was throwing, and he was pinpoint throughout this game. So
now you're just a Deuce hater.
I may have zagged. Yeah, exactly. Known Will Howard lover, Mason Voth. I think I may have put Will Howard down, but I may have just been trying too hard to be a ball knower there because Deuce obviously had a really incredible day.
Deuce, I think, ends up with like 180 scrimmage yards, scrimmage yards. That was good enough for me.
Yeah. Underrated player from this game. Who do you give it to?
Literally only because he got hurt, and I think that he is another one of those, like, what if he was available the rest of the day, because Malik Knowles touched the ball 3 times and almost had 100 yards from scrimmage. Like, he was having a huge day.
Yeah, 48
until he got
yards
hurt.
on his catches, 40 yards or 48 yards rushing and 40 yards receiving.
Yeah, he had 88 yards on like 3 touches. If he doesn't get hurt, the offense probably doesn't stall as much. And I was always a Malik Knowles guy, even though he like did kind of get hurt quite a bit. So it made me sad that in a game like this where he was having one of the best games of his career, that he couldn't finish it out, because I think that if he doesn't get hurt, there is a little bit of talk about, like, well, is Malik Knowles actually the MVP of this game?
You do wonder, I mean, like, does he catch the RJ Garcia ball, or does the RJ Garcia ball happen if it's Malik Knowles and, TCU's a little bit more concerned about the number one receiver for K-State as opposed to a guy that's barely been involved in the offense all year. But yeah, I think that's the right move here, because those 2 plays are huge. And really, like, the route that he runs to catch that bomb from Will to set up the first touchdown, that is one of my favorite plays to watch. And when it unfolded, like, you could see it in real time from our vantage point, because we're kind of like in the corner of the end of that back end zone at AT&T Stadium. So you see it unfold in front of you and you go, oh, wow, that was pretty good. Then you watch the replay of it, and it's even more impressive what he was able to do. And then that sweep, like, it just jump-started K-State from there. So I think Malik Knowles is the right option. It's hard to pick some of these guys on defense that would make plays, like Eli Huggins, but like that was a very loud, pronounced play that he made in this game. So I'll give that there.
And that catch that Knowles made, like that's always the one that we talk about. Like, okay, we're kind of like easing into this game now. K-State needed that really, really bad, and he came up with a huge play.
Absolutely. All right. We kind of have hit on some of the notable moments from the broadcast, probably the biggest being Gene chilling in the hotel conference room, watching with the College Football Playoff Committee. Anything else that stood out on your rewatch of this broadcast?
I liked how often Chris Fowler said the Cats.
Yes.
Like that's very unique. That's very Chris Fowler to do. I really liked that. Not like notable from the broadcast necessarily, but I also wrote down, like, K-State will never be 9-3 and be in the top 10 again.
Yeah, that is very true. And honestly, if you're a 7-2 team in the Big 12, like, there are going to be years where that gets you into a 4-way tie for first place and try to get in, or you're going to be like 3rd or 4th in the league and no chance of playing in it. So kind of crazy how things change with the status of everything. Random players from this game. You mentioned we know there are NFL guys all over the place in this game. Who's the random guy that sticks out? Maybe Omar Daniels ends up with a pass interference call on that Max Duggan legacy drive, and you forget that maybe he was out there. All the young players that were getting their first real action thrown into the fire in this game.
My random player isn't necessarily like somebody super random, but is somebody that I think kind of gets overlooked for how good he was during the season. Drake Cheatham had one of the better seasons of any K-State defender that didn't get a lot of love from the fans or even make All Big 12, because I think he was honorable mention All Big 12 in 2022.
You know,
he was really good.
It was tough being Drake Cheatham because there were so many guys out there that were notable, and he's coming in a year after, like, Reggie Stubblefield just took up all of the headspace of anybody of these transfer DBs from FCS schools. And he's having to compete. Josh Hayes, the second he got on the field, was really good in 2022. But yeah, Drake Cheatham does deserve a lot of love because he was really good and did it, with a club on his hand for most of the season as well. So yeah, this defense is really fun to look back at. Like, obviously the offense is, but like the guys on this defense are what will have like the prevailing memory for me of the 2022 K-State team, because every single guy that was on the field, you go, that was a dude.
The other random guy that I pointed out, he didn't even play because he was hurt, but was Sincere Mason.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, the
Totally
worst break of
forgot about
all
him.
time for Sincere Mason. He has a pick 6 in the game against West Virginia. And I don't remember if he got hurt on that play or shortly thereafter. But yeah, his career ends after that. He has a pick 6 against West Virginia, like this crowning moment for him. Yeah, that was tough. And one of those things that contributed going into the game. You're like, okay, like depth is limited for this team. And then you start to lose starters. You're like, oh my goodness, it's all falling apart right now.
I'm trying to see if he played another snap after that game or after that pick 6.
I can't remember.
Oh, Sincere Mason comes back and plays in the Sugar Bowl.
Really?
He is in the participation report from the Sugar Bowl.
Man, I had no memory of. I thought he was done at that point, but I mean, I also basically consider Adrian Martinez as done at that point. And he came back and got a snap in the Sugar Bowl, which, by the way, we will watch at some point for KSO Classic, is that Sugar Bowl, because I have a lot of thoughts from that game. Yeah, man. I did not realize that he was able to get back into that game.
Don't worry, I'm looking. I'm going to see how many snaps he played.
Okay, yeah, get on that. I need.
You can filibuster for me while I'm.
I need to know. All right. Final things from this one. The what ifs. We've already alluded to it. You and I are both in agreement. What if Phillip Brooks doesn't muff that punt? What if the refs don't make that an incomplete pass instead of what should have been a fumble and a safety in the end zone? Everything of that nature is what sticks out to me. I'm looking here.
I have some bad news. K-State lists Sincere Mason as playing in the Sugar Bowl, but PFF does not.
Yeah, I see that. I guess a defense? Yeah, that's. I was pretty sure his season was done.
I thought it was too, but then I saw that K-State listed him as playing, and I was like, oh, did he?
Well, who was the offensive number 9 that
Adrian.
season? Oh, okay. So maybe they just messed that up.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Adrian. It was Adrian.
Yeah.
That's really bad of me to not remember or think that. Here's what I'll say on we'll talk about it when we do this game at some point in KSO Classic history. I thought Adrian Martinez should have gotten more snaps than he did in the Sugar Bowl. But maybe he wasn't like 100% yet physically, and you didn't want to put him in a bad spot there. But
especially when the game got out of hand, you could have put him in. But
I thought there was a real world where they could really do some things offensively utilizing Adrian in that game against Alabama in conjunction with Will Howard.
So you said that your what if Phillip Brooks doesn't muff the punt?
Well, or what if the refs let that be, an upheld fumble and a safety? Like there's just a lot in this game that kind of sticks out. I mean, some of these fourth down conversions that TCU gets later on.
Mine is significantly less fun because it makes you wonder what 2023 could have been. Is like mine is what if Deuce and Felix both come back?
Yeah, that's dark.
Because it also kind of changes the course of history.
Look, here's the deal. I don't include Felix as much in that. He was a first round draft pick. I understand, the NFL career has not worked out to the way people would want at this point. But Deuce is one that you do seriously consider, and NIL was really starting to boom here. So what if you can just unload a bag on Deuce Vaughn and get him to stay?
I was going to say, what if NIL's like it is now? Felix is a projected first round pick, but you just drop a bag and you get both of them to stay.
Yeah, what about it?
It also changes the course of history because there is a chance that you get through 2023 and 2024, and maybe you have DJ Giddens last season.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It really kind of changes that course of history because you can make an argument right now that DJ Giddens could and maybe should be on the Mount Rushmore for K-State running backs.
Well, this is a conversation that I would love to have at some point with you and Scott Wildcat are probably the best to have it with. Maybe Fan, but I don't know that he can be impartial enough to have this conversation. Like, is DJ Giddens going to be a Ring of Honor guy at K-State?
I think he should be.
I think, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if Deuce comes back, the course of history, maybe we don't look at, like, DJ could be a Ring of Honor guy. It's really interesting.
The thing that is a testament to just how good DJ Giddens was the fact that K-State let him carry the ball almost 90 times in the 2022 season when they had Deuce Vaughn, because that's not common, especially in college football. We talk about what the Colts are doing with Jonathan Taylor right now, but in college football, like, they are even more of the, hey, if we got a great running back, like, we don't really need a second one in here. But they let him do that. And then you go and, you look at 2023, they were a little bit more split with DJ and Trayshawn Ward. But then the next running back got 13 carries that season. So just something to kind of look back and think on.
It's also, like, funny to look back on and think about how DJ's career goes, that, he had one of the best running back seasons for a K-State back in 2024. And as the backup in 2022, almost ran for as many touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, K-State running back, the touchdown numbers fell off for a stretch there. We'll see if they come back this season. All right, last thing we have to do, give this game a score.
I gave this a 9.3. It has some high highs. There are some lows where there's not a lot of action, but, like, kind of similar to some other older games that we've done that had a lot of significance. Like, we still gave the 98 Nebraska game a lot of love, even though it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing of games. Like, this is a very impactful game for K-State.
I am going to give this game a 9.9. I don't know that it can get better than this when you're watching a game back. There are a lot of big plays, but it's not like Looney Tunes level scoring to where you think that this is just, some silly game or whatever. It's really good back and forth, huge moments in this game with everything on the line. I really don't know that, like, there's a better game that can be done because, we're going to do a really fun game to watch next week. But there's zero resistance from the opponent in that game. And so, like, while in the moment it's fun, the performances are great. I know. But, like, you look back on it and it actually, like, it wasn't as crazy. This team was the runner-up all season. They lost in the national championship game, and K-State beat them in heroic fashion with the goal line stand, with the field goal, with all the other plays that took place in this game. I don't know that there is a better game in K-State football history for the way that it was won and what was on the line than this game right here. So I give this the best score that will ever be given out for me in KSO Classic history until maybe this year's Big 12 championship. Who knows?
That's probably fair because, K-State does have a tendency in a big game like this to lose the game how they won the game.
Yeah, exactly. So nice to get one there. All right, that will do it for go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, like, it feels like the big games K-State either blows the other team out or loses in, like, this type of fashion.
Yeah, very true. And the fact that K-State had a double-digit lead, gave it away, but was able to still come out on top, that's significant. So that will do it for the penultimate KSO Classic of Season 2 in this 2026 year. We will be back next week. We will go back and watch the 2012 West Virginia game, maybe the best performance of Colin Klein's career, the highest of highs of his Heisman consideration, going head-to-head with Geno Smith in K-State's first trip to Morgantown. There's a lot to like about this game. Gus Johnson at his peak will be involved as well. It will be an entertaining one to go back and look at for the first time in 14 years. So we have that next week. That will be the end of KSO Classic Season 2, and then we get into game week after that. So just view it as we have only one more KSO Classic until the season really gets here, and that should get people really excited. So for Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Our thanks to Ty Zentner for joining us on this edition of KSO Classic, And we will be back on Monday with more K-State content for you at K-State Online.